Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Thursday, September 10th, 2020, and today I'm going to be talking about the senators in the United States and their respective approval ratings. You see, the thing about this election season is that the governors in this country have gotten a lot of attention due to COVID-19, which means that the attention on senators has definitely been pulled away. But the thing is, governors are not up for their election. And while what they do does directly impact their constituents, senators are starting to get less and less responsibilities. And in terms of the constituents that they represent, people don't, worry too much about what their senator is doing at this point. There are a number of things that really need to be focused on by congressional leadership and, things that need to get done and passed through this country. However, I will say that the attention definitely has moved away from senators and even the 2020 Senate elections. Now, I know the Democratic Party is really excited to get this underway. They really need to reclaim that majority if they ever want to have something, pass under a Biden administration that's in favor of the Democrats. They have the House. They'll likely retain the House, but the Senate is what they're focusing on. So today we're looking at the 2020 Senate map based purely on approval rating, which means I'm going to take the disapprove and the approve and compare them and figure out the difference. And that will be the margin in favor of the Democrats if it's a Republican who's disapproved of, or in favor of the Republicans if it's a Democrat who's disapproved of. Or, if a Republican is approved of, they will likely retain that seat based off these numbers, and then, vice versa. So let's take a look at the Senate map. We have a number of seats up this time around. We have 35 with the new addition of Georgia's Senate special election and Arizona's Senate special election, where Martha McSally is running in Georgia's Senate special election. This is actually the only state where we don't have any data. The reason why I'm comfortable enough to use data that says it is, no longer being updated, pretty much because COVID-19 has minimally impacted senator approval ratings. What we've seen is that the numbers have not drastically changed too much because of COVID-19 in terms of the Senate elections. The same amount of, the same races that were close are just as close, and people are looking directly to their governors and even President Trump more than they're looking to their senators or representatives in terms of handling COVID-19, because a senator legislates. They go to Washington, D.C., and they, vote on bills and they draft bills. Whatever they do does not necessarily directly impact their constituents as much as they'd like it to seem. And I think this election season is the first time we'll see senators, say, you know what, I'm not the reason why all of these things are happening in their home state, even though they know, dang well that it rarely ever is them, unless it's something thrown into a bill. But that's besides the point. So let's look at a Senate map. I have all the numbers here that give me the approval ratings of all of the senators in terms of safe, likely, lean, and we have no tilt, which means nothing is under 1% in terms of an approval. The closest is a 1% margin, which I think honestly is very surprising, taking a look at the state that's within a percentage point. But we'll talk about that when we get there. For the Republicans, they have a number of safe Republican seats. Louisiana is the first one, Texas, then Arkansas, then Montana, which is arguably surprising, Mississippi, Georgia, Idaho, South Dakota, and Wyoming. So, got all of those out of the way. I think it is very surprising to see Georgia considered to be safe Republican. This is a very close race in the presidential election and in the Senate level. In Texas, we have another close race as well, going to be probably neck and neck in the presidential race, but on the Senate race, arguably closer than safe. For Montana, this is a race that is also super, super close. We have two Steves running, no third-party candidates on the ballot, so it will be a Steve that is elected to the United States Senate or re-elected. But that one is considered safe based off the approval rating. Incumbent Senator Steve Daines has a plus 15 approval rating there. Looking over at some other states, Mississippi is not really too surprising, but this was an 8-point race 2 years ago. Anyways, for the safe Democratic seats, we have a number of them as well. We have, starting off with Joe Biden's home state of Delaware, safe for the Democrats. Massachusetts, Ed Markey, the incumbent, won his primary just a week ago, safe for the Democrats. In Oregon, safe as well. Rhode Island, New Hampshire, which I think is very surprising, and then Virginia, which is not too surprising, but, expected. New Hampshire is not super surprising. I will say that it is a tad bit surprising that they are, very solid with their choices in both New Hampshire and Virginia, which is exactly why I rate them as safe on the Senate level, but I did expect their approval ratings to be underwater a little bit compared to their polling numbers. If you look in New Jersey, it's not considered safe, even though that's easily going to go to Cory Booker. The recent poll, 24%, but the approval rating's not that high. So, looking at the rest of the states, we have 41 Democratic states, 39 Republican states, one state with no data. Let's move on to likely states. Now, for the Republicans, they have 5 likely states. I'm going to talk about their margins right now. The first state is West Virginia. This is a state that is considered to be likely by 13%, meaning the incumbent senator has a plus 13 approval rating. In South Carolina, Lindsey Graham has plus 12. In Oklahoma, Jim Inhofe has plus 12. In Nebraska, it is plus 10. And then the last state is Alaska, where it's plus 10. So the reason why I think that these states are considered likely is because the Trump base has, for a while been against Ben Sasse as a senator in Nebraska. For Alaska, Dan Sullivan isn't too well known, despite being a senator from that state. So his approval rating is lower than expected due to the fact that a lot of voters there, have no opinion of him or don't know who he is, despite him literally being a senator from that state. Jim Inhofe, this doesn't really make sense, but he's probably going to win by 25-30%, despite being plus 12 in terms of approval. In the state of South Carolina, I understand that with Lindsey Graham. And then West Virginia, people just may not be too educated about who's running. Most people don't know, or at least not most people, a lot of people don't know who both of their senators are. And I do think that's the case in a lot of these likely Republican states because of the fact that since they don't know them, they would just say don't know / undecided, despite them being, may heavily agree with their policies. You never know. Actually, I forgot to characterize Tennessee as a likely, safe Republican seat, and then we move over into the likely Democratic seats. So I will warn you, some of these are shockers. The first state is the state of New Jersey. I think that one was very shocking as well, considering that Cory Booker is on track to win by a larger margin than Biden compared to his presidential expected victory. The next state is Maine. This is because Susan Collins is the most unpopular senator nationwide. She went from number 1 in terms of approval, yes, even higher than Bernie Sanders, prior to the 2016 election, actually leading up into it, and then now she's number 100. She dropped 99 places to being from the most liked senator in the country to being the most hated by their constituents. Going over to Alabama, plus 6 in terms of approval for Doug Jones in the last poll taken. I think this has dramatically changed, probably. He's a Democrat from the state in an election year. Tommy Tuberville is probably going to win this seat, but the fact that he's up plus 6 in terms of approval in the last morning consult poll taken, I think is pretty significant. He had been serving 2 years leading up into this moment, so it is very possible that he does a lot better than Joe Biden in the Senate election, like I said, comparing it to the presidential numbers. In Kentucky, Mitch McConnell actually loses this race by 13%. Mitch McConnell actually is disapproved of slightly less than Susan Collins, but the approval rating is what really hurts him because people still approve of Susan Collins with 42%. It's just that a lot of those undecided voters are probably going to break for Mitch McConnell on Election Day, and just a lot of those people who disapprove of Mitch McConnell, they will never support a Democrat. They may disapprove of him, but they'd rather have Mitch McConnell than Amy McGrath in the Senate. So Kentucky, while being plus 13 in terms of approval for the Democrats, honestly, that's the closest they'll get because they're not going to win this election. It's going to be very difficult for me to even draw a map where they could. In a best case scenario, sure, but not so much this, realistically for this election. In Michigan, plus 8 for the Democrats. Gary Peters has a net 8% approval rating. In Minnesota, Tina Smith has plus 13. So she was actually elected back in 2018. So that is the reason why her approval rating is lower than Amy Klobuchar, not too well known amongst voters. So 47 Democratic seats, 45 Republican seats. There are some surprises on this map. Let's talk about the lean Republican seats. The state of Kansas. This is a lean Republican seat because the retiring incumbent, Pat Roberts, has a plus 2 net approval rating. It likely could be due to the fact that he's been in the Senate for so long, but now it looks like it's going to be Roger Marshall if he defeats Barbara Boyer, but this race is actually holding the same characterization that I normally characterize Kansas on the Senate map. So that leaves 6 toss-up races, and can you guess where they all go? To the Democrats. Now, the closest race this entire approval map is actually Illinois, and I think that is insane. Because Illinois has Dick Durbin, and he is going to easily win his election. He is going to win by double digits, 15, 20, possibly 25%. And I just think that this approval rating is so low because of the amount of people that say, you know what, I don't know who this guy is. I'm not going to speak my opinion on him, whatever they want. Illinois still only has him up 1%. But if we look at the actual data and we take a look at, Illinois in particular, we can see why. It's 38% to 37%. 1 in 4 voters do not know who he is in this state. So it makes sense. But a lot of those voters are Democrats, and they likely would approve of him if they knew who he was. The same goes for a lot of these other states, which is exactly why I think we shouldn't look too far into the fact that Oklahoma and Nebraska are likely. The same reason why we shouldn't look too far into the fact that Kentucky and Alabama are likely as well. Anyways, 5 toss-up races, and New Jersey. We're going to characterize them the way that I said that they are going to go. So Colorado is actually plus 3 for the Democrats. New Mexico is plus 5. Arizona is plus 3. North Carolina is plus 3 as well. It seems to be a recurring number. And then Iowa is plus 5. So Pretty much in terms of approval, the Democrats do very well. They win 53 Senate seats, the Republicans 46. There's one seat with no data, like I said, Georgia's Senate special election, but it finishes off with the Democrats with a very large majority in the Senate. They flipped Iowa, they flipped, Kentucky, North Carolina, they flipped Colorado, they flipped Arizona, they flipped Maine. So it'd overall be a net gain of 6. And that's just due to the fact that they're retaining Alabama, so they're not going to be losing any seats than what they already have. And this pretty much ends up with very good numbers for the Democrats. So 53, 46, one state with no data. Oops, I guess my internet cut out. Well, that's very unfortunate. Let me try to quit this and then, yeah, okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my 2020 election videos, Senate election videos, actually. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.